ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। So the last class we have just finished studying the fourth chapter. There are 42 slokas, and we studied the 42nd sloka till the 42nd sloka in the last class. Whenever we say we have studied, for the time being, we should always mention, because these are the scriptures which we can never say that we have studied, because the more we dive deep into it, the more the layers of understandings becomes clearer and clearer. So we can never say that we have studied the scriptures. So for the time being, we have finished the fourth chapter. Now before proceeding to the fifth chapter, today we will have the summary of the entire chapter, the fourth chapter, that what this chapter speaks of, was the trait of this chapter. So we'll find that in the first three verses, verse 1 to 3, it speaks of a parampara, a tradition. Sri Krishna is indicating that at the very beginning, that in the third chapter we saw that Sri Krishna is instructing Arjuna in karma yoga, nishkama karma yoga, that do your actions in a detached manner, without expecting the results, as an offering to the divine, feeling the presence of the divine always in your life. The divine is with you, he is the core of your being, and all the actions are being motivated by him. He is the one who has implanted all the good tendencies in us, and those good tendencies find expression as the actions, and he is the one who is the operator. I am just the machine, and whatever results that I accrue, because he is the operator, so I can never claim the results of the actions. So after the actions has been done, I offer it to the divine. So with this motivation, I conduct my life. It's not that as a spirituality I start choosing a particular way of life. It doesn't entail in that. The main teaching of Bhagavad Gita is that yes, as per your state of life, as per your position of life, as per the condition of life, whatever activities entail from there, whatever duties and responsibilities which we have, let us continue with them, but with the change of that attitude. The attitude is, I am the instrument in the hand of the divine. Now this is an idea which we will find is very unique to Bhagavad Gita. Previously, you will find that there was idea that either you be a family man, totally involved in the household duties, try to enjoy the life as much as possible, and not only that, even after your death, you still continue to exist. So do actions in such a way that you enjoy your life again in heaven. So this is the life of the householder. And those who are sannyasins, they renounce the world. They neither want the sensate pleasures in this life nor after. Iha amutra. Everything I renounce, go to the forest, renounce all activities, dive deep in contemplative life. So these are the two very, very segregated paths. So Bhagavad Gita is the scripture you will find is having that uniqueness. It is speaking of continuing with your life, not doing any surgery, as if just segregating all the activities of life and going deep into the forest. Continue with that. but with a sense of detachment. Now this, as when Arjuna is hearing for the first time, now naturally he has a feeling that it is something which has been devised by Krishna. It is a style, is a framework which has been devised by Krishna, and he is instructing me in this just to motivate me in this war. So for that, so after speaking of the Karma Yoga, in the 4th chapter, he starts with the idea that don't think so, that it is something I have planned now just to motivate you for this war. It is something which is a very, very old tradition. It is me alone only. It is me who instructed the sun god. The sun means the very inception of the creation. So at the very beginning of the creation, I have instructed this knowledge to the sun, Vivashvana. And the sun again instructed to his son, Manu, the first human being. So you see, from Manu the word Manava came. When Swami Vivekananda was giving lecture in the West, he told that from Manu, they won't understand the word Manav. He told that from Manu, man came. So almost you will find these words are etymologically so linked. From Manu, the man came. So he is the first among the humankind. So son instructed that knowledge to Manu, and Manu again to his own son, his descendant, to Ikshvaku, he instructed that knowledge. And in the process, in the course of time, that knowledge got extinct. It somehow got diluted and it got extinct. I am again here, the one who instructed this knowledge at the very beginning of the creation to the sun god. I am again here as Krishna, here as your Sakha, as your friend, philosopher and guide. I am here to instruct you again in this knowledge. So in the first 3 slokas, we find that's what the idea which Krishna is trying to bring home to Arjuna. And naturally Arjuna asked that question, that you are just my friend. You are contemporary to me. How can you, who have instructed it to sun god, what you are speaking of? And that's then we find the idea of avatar. In Bhagavad Gita, this again another uniqueness is this avatar vada. Very, very profound, very directly it has been indicated that it is me who is that eternal being, who is the creator, the preserver, the destroyer, the God, who from time to time incarnate as a human being to take care of this my creation. That is the idea of avatar. That many say that if God is all powerful, just few days back we were having a discussion here, someone came and told, if God is all powerful, then why he has to run away from Shishupala and go to Mathura? That whenever God incarnates, we find he has the limitations. He also has to fight, he is afraid of his enemies, he is running away. If he is all powerful, he can just simply take care of the things just by his will, mere will. So the idea, to understand the idea in the present day, we can give an allegory. Suppose you are a software developer. You develop a software. You suppose develop a computer game. So you are the creator. You have created that world of virtual reality. Now if you have to play that game, you have to assume yourself as one of the characters in the game, isn't it? You all can play that game, but you being the creator, you have that efficiency to play it in a much better way, because you know that the entire software you have developed, so you know all the pros and cons of that game. So of course the chances are there that you will play in a much better way than others, because you know the entire intricacies of that software programming. But at the same time, you have to accept the limitations which you yourself have imposed to all those characters. That though you are powerful, you have created, and when you are assuming those characters, you are assuming that I play as this character in that game, it is you who have created all the limitations within that game. You have to accept all those limitations, and You will play much more efficiently. But as that character, you have to first assume the limitations of that programming. So that's the idea. When God creates and when He incarnates, He behaves just like the human being. He has to assume the limitations of Jara, Vyadhi, Mrityu. He also has to go through this process of old age, disease, death. That's all the characters are. With that, he has to play the game. He also has limitations. Someone will be as if more powerful than him. He can overcome them, but he has to struggle through it. All the struggles with which we are limited, he also has to go through them. He appears to be a human being, but he is the one who is the creator, the preserver, the destroyer behind that. He comes down from time to time to sustain his creation. What's the purpose of avatarahood? The purpose that we find that three things has been mentioned. Paritranaya sadhunam, that to protect the good. Vinashaya chadushkritam, that those who are evil forces, to destroy them. And dharma samsthapana, to establish the religion. So what are the three things? These are the three things. So examples always help us to understand that why the need of these three things are there. So suppose you have sent a land rover, now you know, to Mars. Now that how it works, from here we are sending the signal from Earth and you are getting the feedback from those rover again, isn't it? That's how it works. Now if the rover's programming goes wrong, will you get the good feedback? No. Then what's the need for us? We have to send another rover, isn't it? And that rover has to be deactivated, destroyed, because it's no more serving the purpose. So you have sent a rover with which you are connected. I am not having no free will, but at the same time there is some distortion there. So evil speaks of the distortion, that the God has his own plans. There are something which is not working properly, distorted. It has to be destroyed. You have to work from here, like just the way the rover, when I'm sending, it is constantly sending us feedback. That feedback, if it is somehow distorted because of some programming went wrong, then that rover is of no use. It has to be destroyed. So this is the idea, that to understand these scriptures, if you think it in a very, very personal way, that I am a unit, personal unit, God is a personal unit, He is coming down, taking care, you can never understand. Just like without going from here to Mars, we are controlling the thing, isn't it? So this modern technology helps us to understand that whenever the scripture is speaking of God, whenever the scripture is speaking of the divine, it is something non-local. What to speak of divine? Even our mind is non-local. It is not something that the mind is just like a unit. To give an example, suppose you are watching a TV, television, and suddenly the TV, there is some defect and the TV stops working. In the olden days, there used to be the picture tube blows off and the TV is of no more of use. So what I have to do? I just have to buy another TV. And if the moment I open the channel which I was seeing, the same picture comes. So if I am that picture, if my personality is that channel which I am watching, where was it? It is always there. It has never lost. As transmission, it is always there. What has become defective is the body-mind complex. This, you reject it, bring another, the same transmission is again working through it. So the mind is non-local. It is not, if I try to think something goes up, when I die, something goes out of my body, then what it is? Till now science hasn't found it is imagination. We can never understand that way. The modern science can help us to understand it here. That there's so many things which are non-local. Our mobile phone, by which I'm talking to you, is all possible because of that non-local transmissions going on. The mind is something like that. It is, our individual's minds are something like our choices which we download. Mind is one. It is non-local. That's the collective aspect of the divine, you can say. It is all one. We create our individuality by downloading our choices. As per my sanskaras, whatever I am downloading, that creates my personality. The more you can get rid of our bias, the more you become one with the collective, the more you become one with the divine. So that's the idea. So avatarahood can be understood that way, that the divine power, the collective force, which as the collective unit wants to sustain this creation, whenever he finds his defect, for getting rid of it, vinasha, that rover which is no more working, that is of no use for me. What I have to do? But again, for the work to continue, for the creation to continue, I have to protect the good one. That has to be sustained. And dharma sangsthapanarthaya. That again and again this thing has to go on. Dharma sangstapana means what? That the law has been defined, but with the process of time, it degenerates. Again, to establish it, I have to come down to the plane of this virtual reality and mend the things so that it goes on. So it is for the divine purpose that I take birth again and again. Again and again I take birth. So there is no limit, that there is no concept of the God has been incarnated as the only once. There is no idea of the only Son of God. The God incarnates again and again. By saying that he has came once or for the last time, we as a human as if limit the power of God. God's power is unlimited. He manifests to this universe in diverse ways. It is he only who is manifesting. And then a special manifestation happens whenever there is need to sustain the creation. So that was idea. This paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya cha duskritam, dharma sangsthapanarthaya, sambhavami yuge yuge. Again and again I take birth. So this is the idea which was spoken of from 4th to the 8th verse. And from the 9th to the 10th verse, what was mentioned? That the one who knows this purpose of this divine advent. Oh Arjuna, you are thinking me as your friend, philosopher and guide. But I am something beyond that. I am the divine who incarnate and again, who knows this janma karma chame vityam. The one who knows the purpose of my birth, the purpose of my enacting a life as a human being. One who understands that real implication of it. For him, there is no more rebirth. He is also liberated because he is relating to that collective dimension of reality. As we told, to know the divine, you have to get rid of your limitations. The same mind, as in our mind, when you are biased with certain likes and dislikes, the collective information, which is their internet, from there you are selecting only a small portion to create your personality. So if you can get rid of the bias, you're becoming more one-on-one with the divine. And that's the idea which is spoken of in the 9th and the 10th sloka. The one who knows the avatar tattva. It is the divine who incarnates again and again for establishing the religion. One who knows the divine in that essence. For him there is no more rebirth. That has been spoken of in the 9th and in the 10th verse. So then it's proceeding. What it's saying? Now, but all cannot relate to the divine. Most of us, religion means God is just the means, world is the end. That somehow I have a belief that there is a greater force. What I see this world, beyond this, there is a greater force who is guiding us. But at the same time, I want this world. I don't want to get rid of this idea of this limited individuality. I am a limited being and this world is there outside. There are thousands of things which if I can grab, it will give me happiness. That's my idea. But I find I do not have the power to grab whatever I want. And so I have belief in God. So God is just the means. World is the end. For most of us, religion is that. For most of us, it starts with that idea. I want this, I want that. The desires may be subtle, Even the idea of sattvika sukha, I want peace of mind. For that God is there. I don't want God, I want peace of mind. So for in subtle form also the desire may be there, or in the gross form I want wealth, name, position, whatever it may be. As long as God is the means, world is the end. That is something sakama worship. So the divine understands very well the limitations of the human being. What it is saying, that know it for certain, whatever you are desiring, it is I alone who fulfill that desire. In whatever form you want to worship me, know it for certain, I assume that form to fulfill your desire. So ye yatha mang prapadyante tangs tathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvasha. So that's the idea which has been spoken of in the 11th and the 12th verse. And in whatever form, whether you are a jnani or a bhakta or a sakama karma upasaka or even a nishkam karma upasaka, God is the one. He is taking the form of the Ishta of the devotee, in whatever form you want to worship him. That's the idea of the Ishta. He takes that form to fulfill the desire of the worshipper. So that's the thing which is spoken of in the 11th and in the 12th verse. And then from 13th to 15th, as the question of choice and temperament comes. We are not, all the human beings are not alike. We have various tendencies. So as per our tendencies, as per our swabhava, inherent tendencies, the God Krishna is saying, Bhagavan Krishna is saying that I have created 4 different varnas. The idea of this caste we find again in Bhagavad Gita. Chatur varnang maya srishtam. Guna karma vibhavasha. Based on guna and karma. What is this? This guna and karma? So there are 3 gunas. Sattva, Raja, Tama. Sattva speaks of calmness. When there is calmness, where there is stimuli but there is no reaction. That speaks of calmness. I am seeing a red flower and just enjoying it. That gives tranquility. From where Rajas comes, whenever Sattva induces some action. Seeing the red flower, immediately I start planning what to do with it. Let me cut it, prepare a vase. Today in the evening, we are going to have some dinner party. I will keep the vase in the middle of the table. All will appreciate it. So you see, the same red flower, when you are having a reaction, Rajas is generated. And what is Tamas? Tamas is when I don't allow the mind to be stimulated. I'm in a lazy state. So the idea of the flower, when I'm seeing outside, it is not that my mind is vacant. The idea of flower is hidden there. There's external stimulus that is stimulating the idea of flower in my mind. The idea of the flower which was hidden in the mind, that gets illuminated. The external flower is just a suggestion. When I don't allow the illumination to happen, those who are very sloth, lazy, or those who try to do repetitive action, the same action without any thought, that speaks of the tendency not to illuminate your mind. That speaks of tamas. So these are the 3 tendencies, sattva, raja, these 3 guna constitutes this entire universe. This universe is nothing but this conglomeration of these 3 gunas, sattva, raja, tama. Stimuli, response, and the ideas beyond the stimuli response. This external world, even they say, is nothing but 3 guna. What it means? That what is there outside I can never know. I can never know. But all the ideas which I have, which I see as this world, is actually hidden in my mind. My mind is not vacant. This external world is acting as a stimuli, and those ideas which are already in my mind, they are getting projected to give me an idea of this reality. So now you will understand that why they say the entire universe is nothing but sattva, rajatama. Stimuli, response, and the information which is already hidden inside your mind, that which can only be invigorated by the stimuli. So this constitutes our universe. So these are the three gunas. Now as per temperament, some will be more sattvic. Those who that don't respond to the stimuli, like those who are contemplative, those who dive deep into the academics. They like more of contemplative life, meditative life, reflective life, without going to the actions. That's the sattvic temperament. Rajasic, those who act on their stimuli. Some thought is there, and immediately they're reacting to it. And who is tamasic? Either they're leading a very lazy life, or they're doing some actions which doesn't in any way invoke thoughts, repetitive action, like all the services. If you ask someone, please, clean the room. He is not thinking. Someone else has ordered. He is just doing it a mechanical job. It is also something tamasic. So these are the three temperaments based on which Bhagavan is saying, I've created these four varnas. It doesn't depend on your birth. It depends on your temperament. Who is sattvic? The so-called academics are sattvic. The academicians, the professors, the researchers, they constantly are stimulating them with all the informations. But immediately they are not going for reaction. They are more contemplative. They are more busy with research work, studies. So that's the one which we call as the Brahmins. Brahmins are like the present day academicians. Kshatriyas are Rajasic, but their Rajas is guided by Sattva. Why? So take the government, the administration. Constantly they have to plan. Constantly some resolutions are going on. So now you will find you are going to all vote for a referendum. Some new idea came that the Aborigines, their voice is also very important. So these ideas are coming. Based on that, now you are acting on it, isn't it? Some resolutions has to be taken. Some laws has to be framed. The society has to be channelized based on those ideas. So your Rajas is being guided by Sattva. Constantly you are illuminating your mind. So that speaks of Kshatriya. How to protect the country. How to think of a better life, better standard of life. So constantly the thought is there. Those thoughts are constantly that new projects, plans, laws, regulations. Constantly they're reviving them. They're constantly remodeling them, reframing them, and that's what they're channelizing them as action. So their Rajas, those who are in the administration, the government, their Rajas is like what? It is guided by Sattva. And then come the Vaishya, the business class. Nowadays the things have changed. But in the olden days you will find that those who are doing business, they are very active. But their active is repetitive. Suppose the one who is he's a farmer, he's a Vaishya. Farmer is a Vaishya. Or any other business. You will find in the olden days the idea was that in the assembly line we stand, we go on doing the repetitive action. That every day some new thought process is not involved. Nowadays these demarcations are going, because you will find that the so-called CEOs of big business, constantly they have to think, renovate in competition. But in the olden days, the idea of Vaishya is what? All the jobs which we are doing, a fisherman, a farmer, the one who grinds the oil, they all come under that Vaishya category. They are doing action. Their action is but based on some repetition. So you don't have to constantly go on stimulating your mind. So your Rajas is guided by Tamas. And the last category was the Shudra, the one who is just giving the service. Just in the hotel, the boy who is just the waiter who is going and bringing your food. Something has been ordered, someone else is preparing the food, and he asks you just go and give it to him. So your thought process is not much required. So you are just doing some repetitive action. Either you are doing, or you are a very sloth, lazy person. So that speaks of the last category, the Sudra. So you will find it is as per the guna karma, as per your guna. from the guna, karma, the type of action that emanates from your guna. Based on that, Bhagavan is saying that I have created this forecast. But at the same time, I am avyaya. Now, all sorts of actions from where it emanates. From the idea that I can evolve. I am not the same. What I am today, I can be something better. And if I don't try to be better, I degenerate. The question of my being something which is constantly decaying, changing is there. But Bhagavan is saying, I am avyaya. So all our actions emanate from the idea that if I don't act, I decay. And if I act, I can be something better. But God is in eternal present. There is no decay in Him. There is no question of improvement. So how come that He is the one who has created all these various, these varnas? He's saying, though I have created them, I being the avyaya, I am akarta. I am not the one who is working. I am akarta. And the one who knows this, the actions are going on, but I am just the witness. Because of my presence, the action just emanates. But I am in no way the doer. This is a wonderful idea. Even you can understand this way, that there's in a computer, all the things, there's in these IC chips, they're all working. All the work is going on there. These IC chips actually speaks of various type of gates. What is get? Get means that allows or may not allow. Isn't that's the get? In computer, the IC chips has only gates, nothing else. What's that? There's a bias voltage, a particular bias voltage. That is just one, constant voltage. These various gates, what are doing? Therefore, some of the gates in some way is obstructing that one, so it becomes 0. So entire computer language is nothing but 1 and 0. All the gates. So this 1 is getting converted to 1 and 0, means on and off, to create this world of virtual reality. Nothing, it's only binary. So what's the idea? In the association of the bias voltage, the so-called gates by themselves are dead, nothing. When the current passes through them, sometimes it is passing, sometimes it is not passing. That creates this wonderful panorama of your world of virtual reality. God is also saying, everything is happening in my association, everything becomes active in my association, but at the same time, I am not the karta. Akartar. It is happening spontaneously. It is a lila kaivalyam. It is just it's almost the scriptures to explain. This is very difficult to explain these ideas. God's what He says. Even in Kaji Nazrul Islam's one song is there. Kheli choe bisholoe virat shishu ano mone. This entire universe is just like the clay model with which the Virata Shishu, this baby who encompasses this entire universe, is the Virata Shishu. He is playing. Just as a small child, he has no purpose. He makes, unmakes. So many things he is making, he is unmaking. Why? It is the expression of his spontaneous joy. The child is always joyful. That joy finds expression as all these meaningless acts. It is only just a game. And that is the Leela Kaivalya. It's Leela. So he is not the Karta. The child also doesn't have the sense that I am doing something, I am doing something. It is just the spontaneous expression of its joy, of its liveliness. So the entire creation is the expression of the spontaneous joy, the Ananda Swarupata of the Lord. He is not the Karta. So that's the idea, the one who knows that he who knows that Lord as the Akarta and is not bound by the actions. We have already seen that first he told the Janma Karma Chame Vityam, the one who knows the purpose of my birth. He becomes liberated. And here he is again specifically mentioning that when he knows that I am the Akarta, that in my presence everything happens spontaneously. Then what happens? He becomes aware of his own self. Because as we were saying, this Atman is Brahman. When you are more and more getting localized with your choices, likes and dislikes, that creates your world. In the world, if we just in the internet, all informations are there. You are creating your own world by your choices. That creates your one, what you download. But internet is the entire thing. So there's only one mind, the mind of God. The more we get rid of our biases, the more we become one with the collective. So the one who knows that one, what is that collective? That collective, again we are saying, is beyond the bias, has no personal likes and dislikes. He's having no sense of the doer and the enjoyer, karta and bhokta. Is beyond that. So the more the bias starts falling off, the more and more you become one with that collective reality. And that's the idea again he's speaking, that the one who knows me as the akarta. You can become akarta when you have no choice. You're beyond all choice, beyond all specific temperaments. Then only you can become that akarta. So the one who knows me as akarta, the more his awareness becomes of this collective reality, the more he becomes liberated, the more the so-called bonds which binds him, that falls off. So that's the idea which has been spoken of from the 13th to the 15th. After speaking of the Chaturvarna, he says that he is the akarta, and then he also speaks of three things from 16th, from the next 16th to 23rd, that it is very difficult to know what is action, karma, what is inaction, akarma, and what is vikarma. Vikarma means prohibited actions. So it is very, very difficult to understand the intricacies of this thing. That most of us, when we find that our responsibilities is weighing us down in the life, we develop a fake renunciation. What is the fake renunciation? Oh, enough of it. I don't want the position in life. I don't want prestige. I don't want wealth. I simply renounce. But we forget that we don't realize that our mind is fooling us. How? That we say I don't want anything, but actually I want the comfort zone. I want the comfort zone, that all the struggles which I was facing, that I don't want. I want some security. All the challenges which I was facing, I don't want. I am actually seeking. I am not renouncing. I am actually seeking the comfort zone. I am seeking the security zone and trying to regress, come back because of my seeking of this. And when I really get what you say, that tired of this world and renounce, I am not prepared. Because I don't realize it is my mind which is creating the havoc, not the world outside. I am going to the world with this unprepared mind, and that is creating the havoc. And this unprepared mind, with that, I retreat back thinking akarma is the way, no action. And that results in vikarma, all prohibited actions, because your mind is not prepared. That mind which you have created a havoc there, with that when you retreat, your mind will now drag you to all sorts of actions which are not prescribed. An empty mind is a devil's workshop. Then what's the way out? The one who knows, again, that after telling that God is the akarta, your real essence is the akarta, knowing that, you allow the body-mind to be involved in all the duties and responsibilities of life. Let it go on. But always I have that sense of detachment. I am the self. Because of my presence, the body-mind complex acts per its inclinations, with which it has been born, is taking care of the responsibilities. But I am just the mere witness. Or if you are a devotee, I am just associated with the divine. It is the divine who is working through me. All the results of action, I have no claim over it, because I am just the instrument. A pen never says that I have authored so many books. The one who is holding the pen, he is the author. I am just the pen in the hand of the divine. So I cannot claim the results of the action. So these are two ways. As a jnani, you think you are the self, you are detached. As a bhakta, you think it is the divine who is working through you. You are just the mere instrument, and I have no as such claim over the results of the action. So you are working in a detached way with a sense of seek not, avoid not. So then what happens? Then that can lead you beyond the shackles of karma. So the real akarma is not physically renouncing the action. The real akarma is to have that sense of detachment, that I am not working, I am the self. This awareness that I am not working, the body-mind complex is going through it because of its because of its association with the self. It's working. It's just like an instrument, it is working. This divine is behind that. So that awareness of a karma, that can result in emancipation. So very nicely, that's what Bhagavan is saying. We find that in the 18th sloka, that karmani akarma ya pashyat. In action, the one who sees in action. I am in the mad rush of this world, busy with all the responsibilities. But the inner calmness I never lose. I know the self is always detached. The body-mind complex, as per its position in life, as per its responsibilities, it is going through. But I am in no way attached to them. So karmani akarma ye pashyat. In all actions, who see akarma. And karmani, akarmani cha karmaya. And the so-called person who has physically renounced everything, trying to seek the comfort zone, unknowingly, comfort zone and the security zone. His mind is in havoc. So though he is sitting as if he is akarma, but tremendous action is going on. So one who knows this too, sa buddhiman manushyesu. He is the one who is the real buddhiman, the wise. Sa yukta. He is the one who is yukta. Yukta is always connected to his real self. He is a swastha. We generally in our all Indian language, we use the word swasth. In Bengali we say shastho. And as we say that this chapter started with that idea, that with the passage of time, all the ideas get diluted. So that now the word swastha means physical health. Just see how the real idea we forget. The physical health. That if I have no disease, I am healthy. But the real meaning of swasth is what? Swa, the one who is constantly dwelling, sthita. Sthita means to reside in swa, in his own self. Swastha, the one who resides in his self, is swastha. So when a sadhu is asking another sadhu, swasthona, he's actually reminding him that is it not, you most probably you have not got, that deviated from your path by constantly indulging in the sensate world. Are you always attached to yourself? Swasthona. So there one who is always attached to his own self. He is the real swasth. Not just to be a person with no disease. The real swasth is the one who is always indwelling himself. He is never alienated from himself. So that's the idea of yukta. The one who is always yukta. For him, nothing can disturb. All the actions are going on. He is the one who is always calm. And if you are calm, if your mind is calm, that mind, we are all psychosomatic. If our mind is calm, we do enjoy health. So in a sense, when we say swasth means health, it is also correct. Because unless you have a calm mind, you can never have a healthy body. So, but we have taken just the surface, forgot the inner deep meaning. So the voice yukta is always associated with the self. In the turmoil of his life, he never gets deviated from the self. The one who is always at peace. Just see the ocean. We think that the ocean is full of waves, but the wave is just near the shore. The more you go to the deep waters, you will find it is calm. So even in our existence, all the waves are just in the surface. The core of our being is the tranquility. The more we can dive deep into it, the more we can experience the peace in life, irrespective of the fact in whatever situation I may be. So that's the idea has been spoken of in that 18th sloka. And then from the 24th, after speaking of this, from the 24th verse to the 33rd verse, Bhagavan again brings in the idea of yajna. The yajna which he has spoken of in the 3rd chapter. Again he brings that idea in this chapter. The idea of yajna. What's that yajna? the idea of offering. In the yajna, we are offering oblations to the fire. So that idea has been now enlarged. That in this life, whatever you are doing, do it as an offering. And that becomes an yajna. So there can be various types of yajnas. Yajna need not be just fire sacrifice. When I'm passing through the various stages of life, first I'm a brahmachari, I'm a student. Then I will be entering into the high life of a householder, a family man. And then there's a question of retirement from all the family responsibilities come. Let this various phase of life be guided by yajna. Does it mean that we always have to do fire sacrifice? That was the literal meaning, which in the olden days, the karmakandis had. That they always, in their house, you will find always this sacrificial fire is lit every day. It shouldn't get extinguished. The offerings has to go on unceasingly. That's the literal meaning. But here Bhagavan has enlarged the idea. That wherever you are offering, that is yajna. Wherever the idea is there, that whatever I am doing is just not for me. I am doing it as an offering. It is yajna. Then as a student, what can be the yajna? As a student life, I know that I have to focus on my studies. I have to build up my life. I have to enter the householder's life with certain responsibilities. Chhatranang adhyayanang tapa. I have to focus my mind with all my studies. That's the brahmachari. So what he has to do, that in his mind so many desires are lurking. As a human being, it's very natural. Desire for the sensuous pleasures, desire for wealth. But he knows that if I resort to the short-term pleasures, I cannot achieve the long-term goals. So for the time being, I have to delay my gratification. It's not that I'm renouncing my gratifications. I will gratify, but not today. Just wait me. Well, let me wait in future. So it's not a very higher goal that for spiritual, I want to attain spirituality. Most of the students, the good student, they do have to renounce, but that renunciation with the sense of delaying the gratification. That also is a yajna, because you are somehow offering your senses as if in the fire of self-control. That was mentioned. The srotradini indriyananye sanyamagnishu jivati. This all the srotra and other, this ears and other indriyas, you are offerings in the fire of Sangyama. And then with this, now with this type of idea, you get established in dharma. What dharma means? Dharyate in dharma. The capacity to hold yourself back so that you don't disintegrate. So even if you have the idea of delaying your gratification, you're developing self-control. And this is very much needed. With this idea, you enter the householder's life. You have already developed the capacity to control yourself, not to just dive for the sensuous pleasures of life immediately. With this, now I start my householder's life. Now my life goal becomes artha and kama. So this, our scriptures has wonderfully told that it is not only liberation, not only to attain God. First, integrate your life with dharma. Then pursuit for artha and kama is okay. You pursuit for it. But there also the yajna should go on. What's the idea? That through all my sensuous pleasures, it is not just me, but the welfare of all. Just see a small child, if you have a few penny in his pocket, when he is passing by the McDonald's, immediately he will go, his idea, this is my penny, whether my father has given or whatever, it is now mine. So I have the right to enjoy. He goes and whatever he likes, he will buy and he will immediately resort to it. The moment you are a family man, you are the father. It's not that your desires are no more there, still desires are there. But as you have already developed that self-control as a student life, their studies were the most prominent thing. For that, you practiced renunciation. So now this will help you. How? Now when that desire comes, let me go and enjoy, immediately the thought of the family will come. that my wife is there, my son is there, my father, mother are there. It's not only for me, for them. So I will enjoy. So let me go buy certain things, go back home, we all sit together, enjoy together. So what happens? Your desires are guided by some higher goal. So you're sublimating your desires. It's not you're renouncing your desires. You're sublimating your desires. Just I buy something, instead of grabbing, I go, even I have developed the idea of the divinity, I offer something. And instead of just simply directly swallowing it, I offer, and now the same thing has become prasad, sanctified. So what happens? The devotion is growing. Your desire which would have resulted in greed, that greed is getting sublimated into devotion. So when I'm having prasadam, I feel that connection with the divine. It is sanctified. But what I'm doing the same thing. I'm eating the thing which I desire for. But once it has been offered with the idea that it has been sanctified by the divine, now it's a prasadam, and with that you find the idea of devotion is also welling up. So that's the idea. Offer for the higher goal, offer to the divine, and then have it. Artha and Kama is okay. With that, you have to lead your life as a householder. So it's not just the fire sacrifice. It's change of orientation. That was mentioned as Sabdadin Vishayananya Indriyagnisha Jivati. Indriya is the Agni. All the senses are the fire in which you have to offer the object of the senses, but with the sense of that sublimation. If you live the life this way, then you are bound to enter into the next phase. When all the responsibilities you have taken care of, now a renunciation will come. The one who has never controlled himself, his mind is in such a turmoil state because of the complications, the complexities he has created with the life. The question of going to the next state of life, of vanaprastha sannyasa, is impossible. The one who has calmed his mind, has led this life to get some satisfaction, to get some idea of fulfillment. And then the idea, this idea of the meaning of life. What's there? With all this, I have got this, my wealth, my pleasures, everything. But does the life mean this much? Is there nothing beyond this? These questions are bound to come who have integrated their pursuit for artha and kama with dharma. For them it is bound to come. And now, first, I started my life in delaying my gratification. Now when I become aware of the fact that the self is beyond this chasing for the material pleasures, this chase for the material pleasures of life, how it came? The moment I got associated with the body-mind complex, the echo of my eternity was coming from the body-mind complex. With that echo, I got deluded. I thought the body-mind complex is saying I'm eternal, but I don't realize it in my body-mind complex. And that's why I was trying to realize the eternity through the body-mind complex, which can never be done. It is just a false assumption. But at the same time, I am already that. As I got deluded by the ego, that's echo, which has resulted in the ego. This echo results in the ego. The echo from your body-mind complex that I am eternal, I am ever fulfilled, creates that ego. You're trying to realize your infinite nature in something which is limited, which is flowing, which is never possible. But at the same time, it is the echo speaks of some reality. And you are that reality. Then you realize I'm already that. Why to always try for this eternal chase after something which is not possible? I'm already that. I detach myself. So now there is the question of delaying of gratification. Now the Samyama is something which speaks of annihilation of all your desires and getting more and more established in the self. That was the idea, again we find, in the last phase it has been spoken. So as you progress, just see the idea of yajna is wonderful. As you progress through the life, whatever activities you're doing, that itself becomes yajna when you're doing it as an offering. Now in the state of vanaprastha sannyasa, atma samyama yogagno juhati jnanadipite. That knowledge has dawned now. That knowledge is the flame. That I am the self, this eternal chase after the pleasures of life, it has no meaning. I'm already eternal. So this jnana, in that Atma Samyama becomes your offering. There is no more question of delaying. It is total annihilation now. And that's the yajna. These all yajna will at last lead you to that establishment of that knowledge that the Brahman alone is finding expression as the universe. So all the yajna, the one who is offering is the Brahman, the offering itself is the Brahman, the fire in which it is offered is the Brahman, the act of offering is Brahman. So that was spoken of in the 24th. So all these yajnas lead to that Brahma yajna, that Brahma, that every day while taking food we chant Brahmarpanam Brahmahavi Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. So everything is Brahman. So all this culminates into that. So that was the idea which was spoken of the 24th and other various yajnas. After speaking of these various yajnas as well as the Brahma yajna, Bhagavan is saying that Brahma yajna is the culmination. That all the Shreyat, all this Dravyamayat yajna that has been spoken of, that Shreyan Dravyamayat yagyat Jnana yajna parantrapa. All these Dravyamaya yajnas, all the various other yajnas which are done with various ancillaries. Beyond that is that yajna where you are always aware of your real self. That's the Jnana yajna. So that is Shreya. Sarva karma akhilang partha. All these actions at last ends in the culmination of that jnana. So sarva karma akhilam partha jnane parisamapyate. So just see how through the course of life when you are passing through, there is no question of any surgical operation. You are passing through the life just as a normal person. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, that many have heard that in Dakshineshwar a Paramahamsa stays. And they had the idea that the Paramahamsa must be someone who must be wearing the ochre colored cloth, must be having a three-dandi Swami holding a danda, all the marks should be there, and they could never find anyone. So they will find a normal person wearing dhoti chadar and even in winter he used to wear a green colored coat. That coat is still preserved. So he's looking like a normal person sleeping on a bed, having sleepers on his leg. Even sometimes he eats this pan, betel leaves, and his lips are red. He looks like just like an ordinary person wearing red colored cloth. And when they come and search for a Paramahamsa in Dakshineshwar, they don't find any Paramahamsa. Where is that Paramahamsa? And when at last they somehow realize that he is the one who has been actually, of whom all are speaking of as Paramahamsa, and they ask, and then with surprise that it is you who has been being designated as the Paramahamsa. And Ramakrishna's reply was wonderful. Do you think that to be a Paramahamsa you should grow two horns? Then only, there is no such external sign. There is no such external sign. He looks like an ordinary person. That's a wonderful saying is there, that sadhu hobe, sadhu sajbe na. Sadhu hobe, sadhu sajbe na. Grihi sajbe, grihi hobe na. Sadhu hobe, become a saint, become a holy person. Don't pretend to be a holy person. And pretend to be a householder. Don't become a householder. We just do the opposite. We are householders, but we pretend to be a very holy person. So just the opposite. We have to pretend just as an householder. From externally, there should be no sign. You look like any other ordinary being. But internal, total orientation has changed. That's the thing which Bhagavan is speaking. It's a wonderful. This scripture is very unique. That's what Bhagavan is told. That don't in any way confuse it with Sankhya Yoga or with Vedanta, Vishishtadvaita, Advaita. No, that's what through ages we are doing. A Vishishtadvaitin will write a commentary on Gita with the idea of Vishishtadvaita, and Advaita will do that with an idea of Advaita. And that way, we limit the understanding. Gita is a unique scripture, which we cannot understand with any of those, because it itself is a philosophy of its own. If you try to understand that Bhagavad Gita from the perspective it has been spoken, many writes the Bhagavad Gita with the title Bhagavad Gita as it is. And again, the same mistake we do. In the name of Bhagavad Gita as it is, we will be trying to interpret it with our school of knowledge. Now the real Bhagavad Gita, go back to the source. That itself is a school. When you can understand that, the Bhagavad Gita is a wonderful, encompassing. It encompasses the entire life without segregating anything, and it takes you in the process just by change of your orientation, not by changing the vocation of your life, but changing your orientation. It takes you to that ultimate goal. So that's the idea which has been spoken of in the Bhagavad Gita. So now in the 34th, the last phase, the 34th to the 42nd, after speaking of yajna, that in your life to go on with your activities with the motivation that you are offering everything to the divine, it's not easy. For that, you do need some practices. At the beginning, work and worship has to continue for long, when at last work becomes worship, work as worship. First work and this samuchaya should be there. The constantly I have to remind myself I am the self. It's not easy. For that, work and worship should go hand in hand. Some time has to be secluded out. It's not that you're renouncing your actions goes on. But some time has to be secluded for a particular way of life, where you can contemplate on your real self. And this idea then gets gradually diffused in your action more and more. So first, this is required. For that, the process, 34 to 40 seconds speak of that the process of getting established in Jnana. So for that, two types of sadhanas has been spoken of. One is Bahiranga and another is Antaranga. Bahiranga means some external practices. What are there? Going to the Guru, bowing down to him, questioning to clear your doubts, and serving. This pranipata, pradiprashna, seva. These are external. But if you are really if you're bowing down to a certain person, it can be something just a mere show. But there can be an antaranga sadhana of it. That I'm really having a sense of reverence for that person. That's why I'm bowing down to him. So antaranga sadhana is Shraddha. That you are having faith that this man, what is saying to me is not pure superficial words. It has a tremendous force behind it, a tradition behind it. It has to be realized in our life. I have to, after contemplating on those ideas, clearing the doubts, I should have the conviction that it has changed my life. So Shraddha. And then what is Tatpara? That you have to be very active, have to work on it. Ekanishtha. That with focused mind I have to work on it. And Sangyatendriya. If I have really understood that word, that it will find expression through my way of life. There's a change in my behavior pattern. I have to be Sangyata, determined. That only speaks of real respect. With this, when you really try to inculcate that knowledge in your life, then this jnana, now work and worship doesn't remain two separate things. Work as worship. Your work itself becomes a worship. Your now spirituality becomes 24/7 affair. And that's been spoken of as sarva karma akhilam partha jnane parisamapyate. It is karma itself. When done with the proper orientation, it gets gradually seasoned into that jnana. So this idea that this samuchaya, this jnana and karma, has to be synthesized. In the very last phase of this chapter, it has been spoken of. In the 41st verse, what is saying? Yoga sannyasta karmana. Through the yoga, you develop the detachment in your action, sannyasta karma. And jnana sanchinna sanshayam. All the doubts which you have about your self, that there is a self, that can be got rid of through the jnana, through a constant contemplation. You will find that what is just a mere academic knowledge for you, that develops into a realization. You do realize that there is a self. It is not mere words. As long as we have the idea it's a mere words, the doubt will be there. After all, is it all worth? If with death everything is over, why all those things? Okay, maybe it has some utilitarian value. It may give some calmness of mind. But after all, it is all bogus. We may have the doubt. How long? As long as it's just an idea. But here the scripture, God is asserting it's not an idea. It can take you to the jnana. Jnana is the realization. You realize you're the self. With that knowledge, when you come back, all your action gets permeated with the divine. So that's why jnana sanchinna sangham. All the sanshaya, doubt falls off when you get established in that jnana. So these two things, these are the two wings. That in your actions develop detachment, and in your practice go to that realization, so that all the doubts fall off. Then atmavanta, you become established in yourself, and then karmani na nibadhyate, nibadhanti sanjaya, that all the actions are not going to bind you. The actions can go on. You need not have to surgically operate yourself from your actions. It can go on, but it won't bind you anymore. That's the assertion almost at the end of this chapter Bhagavan is giving. So that's the entire, a wonderful way of life is being shown through this chapter, the fourth chapter. So with this, we conclude our study of the fourth chapter for the time being. In the next class, we will start with our discussion of the fifth chapter. So thank you all. Namaskar.